Okay, it's recording.
Hey friends, welcome back to Hometown Commander. Of course, it's your host, Mikey, and of course, with me, as always, for the first time ever,
Your boy Millsy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is our first ever episode that we are recording, and man, oh man, are we excited!
Very excited.
I'm ecstatic. Like, we got the microphones in, and I almost peed my pants. I'm not even lying.
It could be good. It could be bad.
That's
what you're here for.
It was also like 40 degrees outside. That's probably why I was like kind of feeling that kind of that feeling of excitement.
And I feel like tonight was letting it right. We got some games of Commander in.
Oh yeah.
Which of course is our podcast.
I was about to say, if you don't know already by just the name Commander, I understand that Commander can mean a lot of things. But tonight, it actually means the wonderful format of Magic the Gathering that we all know and love. And hate. Oh God, do we hate it? Tonight, I think we got like, you won like what, 2 or 3 in a row?
I think so.
And it was by that halfway mark of the third game, I looked over at your board and I was like, I don't care what he has on the board. I know what he could have in his hand or what he could pull from the top of his deck. And we're going to lose this game. And I almost just scooped immediately. Like, it was that bad.
But then you look at how the night changed.
And
it got bad for me.
And it did get bad for you a couple games. But that is the wonderfulness of Magic and the wonderfulness of how we do things. So, Millsy, let's just let the people know who we are. Who in the world are we?
We're dudes. We play Magic.
Ah, this is true.
I hope that's obvious. It could possibly not be.
Oh gosh.
My name is Millsy. Mikey and I live in the Dallas area, if anyone else is from the Dallas area. But I'm actually not from the Dallas area originally. I've lived in a lot of places in my life. I grew up in a small town outside the city of Rochester, New York. I don't expect people to know where that's from, but if you're a New York person, let me know.
Did you say Rochester, New York?
New York, yeah.
New York?
New York, yeah. It's the best state in the colonies. No, I'm just kidding. I love the colonies. We're going to get canceled. Anyway, my wife and I met at college outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, so you're married?
Yes, I am.
Oh, that's wonderful. How long?
It'll be 7 years this year.
You know, I actually didn't know that.
Well, congratulations. It's 7 years.
No, that's congratulations to you. What do you mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that. We lived outside of Washington, D.C. for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
That's actually where I started playing Magic, and then now we live here in Dallas.
Sweet. Yeah, like you said, my name's Mikey. I will be your wonderful host. I will try to be wonderful. I probably will be just subpar, like normal. Mikey is, of course, a nickname, just like I would assume Millsy is probably not your maiden name, right?
Legal. No, just kidding.
Oh,
no,
100% on the license. Put it on the license. Yeah, Mikey's a nickname. No one actually ever really called me at, except for one of my old best friends back in high school. Right after high school is actually when I kind of started playing Magic, and I too am also married. I met my wife through the wonderful social media application of Instagram, slid into her DMs, basically gave her a message that said, I'm awkward and really nerdy, but you kind of cute. You want to talk. And the rest is history because we've been married for 2 years now, a little over 2 years now. But yeah, I was technically born in Florida and moved to Texas when I was like 3 years old. But I love Florida. It has a piece of my heart because that's where my dad's from, and that's where he was born and raised, as he loves to say. But like I said, I started playing Magic in high school. You started playing Magic in Washington, D.C. Can you kind of tell us like when you started learning, when you started playing Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, in college, I had a buddy who played Magic a long time ago. I remember sitting down, kitchen table Magic, the thing we like to talk about from time to time. Probably a bulk of those cards would have been from the Return to Ravnica block, that era. But of course, at that time, I had no idea what that meant. Played a few games, mostly just kitchen table. I think some of them were old Modern decks and stuff like that. But nothing that high on the power level. Just here's 40 goblins and some mountains type lists.
The best.
When we lived in Virginia, there was actually a local card shop in town, and that was really about when Dragons of Tarkir came out, kind of the end of that block. Magic Origins was really the first set where I drafted and opened packs and really got to experience it, and then BFZ was my first Standard time. As much as I love and hate Standard, I got my experience with Standard in one of the most expensive times to play Standard.
Yeah.
From there, I kind of took a break. my and I's time in Virginia was kind of odd, and there was a lot of issues really in the people around us, and so we moved away from Virginia. I moved down here to Texas. I actually met somebody down here who kind of reintroduced me back to Magic. That was probably about the time, I'd say like right before Ixalan, kind of the Amonkhet era. And Ixalan was really the first set that I paid attention to. I looked at the spoilers for. I built my first commander deck, which was Gishath, Naya Dinos, a deck that I still love bringing out from time to time.
Gotta love the 3-color dinos, man.
Of course, that list is nothing like it was at that time.
A white bat.
And ever since then, I've been paying attention to spoilers, buying way too much product, and just enjoying the game of Magic.
Yes. So Amonkhet was the one that kind of had like the Egyptian god feel, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. It was a top-down Egyptian set, which was really cool for a lot of reasons.
Okay. Yeah. So I always remember like the Theros set, which is like more like the Greek mythology type stuff, which is actually kind of right before I started. I started in Core 2015. The wonderful year of 2014 is when that came out, and that's when I started playing. I went all the way through the Tarkir set and was like, yes, I'm going to play standard. I'm going to go to a few tournaments. I was an okay standard player, but I loved playing what I liked playing, so it wasn't the most fun to play.
Never is.
It never is, yeah, no. Because once you went up against a deck that was like completely different, but it was the complete meta, you were just like, oh yeah, your deck's going to be good, so you probably win. Oh, you do win. Okay, cool. Moving on. And then you like don't even get top 8 because all the top 8s are meta decks.
And then remember at that time in standard, you had these wonderful things called the fetch lands.
Oh,
legal
yes.
and standard.
Oh yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, but we learned that my dumb investment early on
in fetch lands paid off.
Fetch lands paid off 100%.
Exactly,
yes. Yeah. But after the Tarkir set came Magic Origins, and I bought probably maybe one of the big boxes of not like the $100 box, but like the what is it? The $40
like a bundle.
Like a bundle.
What's
yeah.
now called a bundle. What
yes.
then was called Fat Pack.
Yes, the Fat Pack back then, bundled now. I bought one of those of Origins. I played one tournament of Origins. It was right before everything like swapped over to just Tarkir and just Origins, so you could play everything from Theros and everything from Tarkir, everything from Core 2015 and everything from Origins. It was a weird time. Standard's weird. And I made like some blue-white heroic deck and got demolished, and when I realized that I was going to have to spend a lot of money on a stupid card named Goblin Chain Whirler, I was like, no, I'm good. Listen, I love red as much as the next guy, but
This is a great time to plug one of the reasons why we love Commander, which is no rotation.
Oh.
Something that's huge.
Oh, good God, yes. Like, that is the greatest thing that I love about Commander. I do wish there were a few more cards maybe banned or looked at, more considered. Rip, anyways. No.
Maybe even a few of my decks, but
no, your decks are fine. But anyways, yeah, I loved playing back then, but then I realized that it was just weird, when you spend, $1,500 in 1 year on one hobby that revolves around shiny cardboard, or in my case, I don't really like the shiny cardboard.
Less shiny cardboard.
So less shiny cardboard. Like, you start to kind of like take back, like, oh, is this really something I want to get into? And then me and my friends kind of more fell off of it. We kind of put it to the side, put it all in a box, and just left it alone for years and years and years at a time, until I met this wonderful man who sits in front of me now, and he was like, heard you know a little bit about Magic. And I was like, oh God, where'd you hear that about? And now we
don't disclose our sources.
We don't disclose our sources, no. Then we started playing, and we started playing Commander, which I loved that you started playing Commander, because that's the format I started getting into when I got out of Standard. I loved building the randomness of a deck out of the randomness of the cards that I had in my collection, and I have enjoyed it ever since. We've been playing now for about, almost 6 months now, and it's been an experience. I liked what we do. I like what we do with each set. We usually will do a pre-release kind of homey tournament style thing, or if we have money at the time, we'll go to a store and actually do it. And I just really enjoy it. I really enjoy what we've done over the past couple of months. I've liked the sets that have come out too. My first experience with Innistrad has been hilarious. and my first experience with AFR, or excuse me, Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, which actually isn't my first experience because I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for over a year now, and that's been fun too. So with that, I would have to say my favorite color in Magic, I've already talked about it because I've kind of hinted at it. Like, I love playing red. I really do. Like, I don't like playing goblins. I feel like goblins is not red. Goblins is goblins. Like, there's red and then there's goblins. And I love playing red. I just love burning things. That sounds really awful, but in Magic, I love burning things. In real life, it's just kind of, no, I don't really like burning things because that's, terrible. You shouldn't do that.
You definitely should not burn things.
You should definitely not burn things.
Hometown Commanders, a podcast, is against burning things.
Is against burning things.
We just want to make sure that's clear.
But I mean, I love red, and I love branching off red. Like tonight, I played a new deck. I played Feather, the Redeemed. It's a red-white Boros. It's a color combination I never really thought I would play, and it's actually kind of fun. Like,
it ran really well.
It just
seemed
works.
to really enjoy it.
Yeah,
so.
I did. I did enjoy it. I tried to stay away from the, like we said, the Voltron-esque type thing that was happening, and it still just happened anyway. But it as you love to say, it is what it is.
It is, in fact, what it is sometimes.
So, unfortunately, Millsy, I have to ask this question to you as well. What is your favorite color in Magic?
Purple. No, I'm just kidding. It's green. I have played a lot of Magic in my time, and for me, the color that keeps me coming back, keeps me interested, is green. And I don't know why, because ramp's ramp. But
excuse me, it's not just ramp.
It's good ramp.
It's good ramp. It's card draw. It's big stompy creature. It has removal sometimes.
Let me tell you what I love about Magic. A 7 green worm, 6/6, probably does nothing on the actual card at common, is the kind of card that I love in Limited. It's everything I love about green. I love huge creatures. I love combat. I love trying to determine when you push, when you stay back. That's the thing that I enjoy about Magic. Most of the time, green really pairs well with red for that. So I call myself a Gruul player most of the time because that is, or red-green, because that is the color combination that I love the most. But I've really been pushing myself lately with blue-green, with Sultai, blue-black-green. And as much as I don't love blue and black, it's pretty tolerable when you get some fun spells that you can add in there.
Sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any color that I hate, but green is definitely where I hang my hat.
Don't I know? You played. We played what, 5 or 6 games tonight? I lost count after 4.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I don't remember, but we played 5 or 6 games tonight, and I'm pretty sure 80% of the games, your decks had green in it.
Sweet, glorious green, yes.
Yes. Now, I can't say anything because all of the decks I played tonight had red in it, but that's beside the point.
That's okay, though.
I feel like when people get to know you and what kind of player you are and what kind of person you are just genuinely, as the scrub that you are that plays green, they're going to know that you play green.
Yeah, and I hope that no one's offended off rip that I play green. Know that I do my best to play other colors.
Yes, we both do.
I am not the kind of player who says if it doesn't have green in it, I don't want any part of it. But I mean, if it has green, though, I'm in, Right.
So you started playing in Dragons of Tarkir. What would you say, like, Tarkir would be your favorite block?
It is.
Or set?
It is one of my favorite blocks, especially lore-wise. It's such a fun concept. And if you're interested, if you as the listener are interested in the Tarkir block, you weren't around for it, and you keep hearing this word thrown around, go check out the lore. Tarkir is a really fun block for its lore, for its structure, for its ideas. But for me, I think when you think about fantasy, a lot of people think about dragons, right? Dragons are one of the things that always come up. And Tarkir does such a wonderfully great job at making dragons the forefront of a block and of each set, really. Each set really does revolve around dragons in different ways, which I really like. I will take all the crap I need to take for loving Ixalan. I love that block. I love that set. I love dinos. I love pirates. I love the white-black vampires, and I love merfolk as much as one can love merfolk without actually playing merfolk. But I love Ixalan. I think it was such a cool world for how tropey it was at times. And I don't think I've actually played a set that I haven't liked something about. I've always loved Innistrad. I'm a huge horror fan outside of Magic the Gathering. So it's very easy for me to enjoy Innistrad for what it is, for the style of it, for the art, for the world. But yeah, I'd say definitely Tarkir first, then probably Innistrad, and then probably Ixalan.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I started playing in Tarkir, but I also agree with the lore of Tarkir. Like, I mean, I built a D&D campaign around it just because it's so much fun just to kind of learn about how these like different characters just intertwine, these different clans just go after each other or try to stay away from each other. And then as much as I hate time travel, like I feel like the story of Tarkir does time travel really well. And it's super quick, it's super instant, and what happens of the result of the time travel just is bonkers, because like you say dragons and it's like, oh cool, dragons are here, but no, it's like, no, there's 5 of them that run the entire area. Have fun. And it's hilarious. I'd say Tarkir 1 for me. I wish I could have played Theros more, because I love Greek mythology. I think it's really cool, and I love a lot of the cards. I mean, again, I refer back to my Feather deck I was playing. It had a lot of Theros cards in it, because I love how quick and easy they are to play and just what they do. It's a lot of fun.
I don't know about you, but I think the Theros gods are some of my favorite cards in Commander, because they do such a good job at supporting certain decks in either their play styles or maybe enabling certain sub-themes. And I do my best to fit Theros gods in wherever I can, maybe even to a fault.
Oh, I agree completely, though. I mean, you look at, like, my Xenagos Commander deck is literally, Xenagos does Xenagos things. He pumps creatures, big damage, move on with life. Like, you have one of the Heliod's, I can't remember exactly which one, in your Sithis deck, where it gains you, infinite life? I think.
It's not going after infinite life. Really, I tried to build the deck to kind of always...
Well, not the deck, just what Heliod can do in that deck.
Heliod really rewards you for gaining life by putting counters on creatures and kind of pumping your board up as you gain life. And so, traditionally, life gain decks use life to use that life as a resource for another thing. What Heliod does is, instead of allowing you a conduit to use that resource, it says, actually, I'm going to give you something extra for gaining that life.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's never a bad thing.
No. So, I mean, yeah, the Theros gods, they're freaking crazy, so I will love them as much as I can. So, you said you've been playing for a while. How long have you just been playing Commander itself?
Like I said, during the Ixalan block is when I built my first Commander deck, Gishath Dinosaur Tribal. There was a period in that time, of course, where I didn't go to shops or anything like that. I just played with friends, and that kind of thing. I would say when Guilds of Ravnica came out, when our most recent trip to Ravnica started, that was really the time that I started playing more seriously against random people. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, after War of the Sparks, started what we now know as our play group. Yeah. Now, it looked a little bit different at that time. There were some different people, although we have some of the same face, for one face still in the group now. That was kind of when I started my play group, so to speak. I don't mean that in like it's my play group, type thing, but I just mean the play group that I play in now.
I mean, you started it, so I mean, you can claim right to like it being, I guess, not necessarily yours, but you don't own it, of course, but you started it.
Yeah, and of course, I've had the privilege of you joining me in it, and a bunch of other great guys who really have learned Magic and have started to enjoy Magic, and it's really fun for me to see people grow in the game. Of course, I do like to win. Everyone loves to win, but I really love the casual fun we have with Commander, and so I enjoy that we now have that play group that we've been able to play with.
Yeah, I started playing Commander midway through my standard play as well. When I realized I could like make a deck with almost all of the cards that have been released of all time, I was like, really cool. But also, really dumb because you could dump a lot of money into this format if you really want to.
Almost near infinite money if you really wanted to.
If you got it, sure. But yeah, no, my friends and I, we all three. There was three of us, and we all played pretty differently, which was kind of cool. Like I was the red player, we had a green player, but played a lot different than you do. Not very aggressive. He liked to build up his board. He played elves, and he just loved to make as much elves as he possibly can first, and then swing away. And then we had another one who just played all kinds of different random things. And it was just really cool to see the different ideas in it and everything. And like I said, I did take a break afterwards and then came back. But once I saw that you were like, hey, we play Commander, I was like, cool, because I'm not playing this whole 60 card anything. Don't you dare put that modern format in my face. I will tell you no.
And I feel like I'm an exception probably for some green players. I really don't enjoy elves as a tribe. I think they're really cool as support in some decks.
Agreed.
But I've never really loved the elf ball style. I really enjoyed the big dumb green creatures who you probably have no right playing and making a deck out of that. And that's the stuff that I love. So I hope that it doesn't offend anyone listening to this podcast. I hope that you will still hear me out. I'm sorry if elves are your favorite tribe in Magic. I don't hate them as a tribe. I just don't enjoy playing them.
Listen, just play your elves and get 60 of them out on the board.
And win the game.
It's fine.
Just beat me all the time with it.
Exactly.
It's beautiful to watch. It's
Exactly.
just not my thing.
So, we talked about how many green decks you've built or you played tonight. How many decks do you currently have built?
So I feel like we have to put built in quotations because unlike, I would say I am very much a brewer at heart.
Yeah.
I love to brew. I love to come up with new ideas. What I would say is decks that I have mostly built that are actually put together I could take to a shop, 5. But I have what we like to jokingly refer to as my test box, which is a bunch of random decks that I'm testing. That's where I enjoy a lot of Magic, is trying new things, pushing myself into new strategies. And I actually don't know what the number is on that, to be 100% honest. It's somewhere north of 8, probably less than 12, but I love it. It's something that I just enjoy.
Oh, that's something that I've fed off of you as well. I used to just play, like, I'd play Xenagos, or I would play, believe it or not, Krenko, even though I said that goblins are completely different. I don't remember what other, I had another one that I made. Oh, I used to play Derevi and whatnot way back when, and I don't know, now I have technically only 2 that are fully built out. One of them just needs to be destroyed and redone, and then one of them is my Xenagos Jank, which I just have a lot of fun with. I know
you as the listener, you hear the word jank, and there's kind of this concept of jank in Magic where it's maybe something that isn't as good as it should be, or it's looked down on. But when we say Xenagos jank, we mean lovable jank.
Yes.
We don't mean like it's all commons and it's bad. We mean it's the jank you love. Like, it's the stuff that puts a smile on your face when you see it.
Listen, I have a 1/1 trampling badger in it for 1, because why not? That's the lovable jank that we're talking about, for sure. Now, I did speak about Derevi, which was an older pre-con that came out in 2013, actually. Millsy, any favorite past pre-cons?
I feel like looking back on the pre-cons that Wizards has released officially, for this format we call Commander, I really love the pre-cons where we get to see a cycle or a series of different things. So, for example, first, the Strixhaven decks that came out, all of those 2-color pairs where we get to see all of those colleges shine in different strategies. One of my favorite sets of 5 decks, which unfortunately have become overshadowed by a cycle of cards that came out in those decks, was the Commander 2021 decks that came out with Ikoria. I love a lot of those decks. Those color combinations are some favorite 3-color combinations of mine. I love them. Unfortunately, those precons got overshadowed by the free, cards that you can cast for free if you control your commander. But I'd say, like, if I had to pick a favorite precon, it's probably Otrimi or something out of that set of precons, just because they're so fun and interesting, and they leave so many cool build lines out of them.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, like, I'll probably have to go with a classic. I love any of the 5 Planeswalker commanders that came out in Commander 2014. Mostly because, 1, it was when I first started, and 2, like, it's just hilarious to see a Planeswalker as a commander sometimes, because I feel like, especially in our play group, we'll see a Planeswalker hit the board, and it's like public enemy number 1. Like, our heads literally break looking at it and going, what does it do? And then we start targeting it almost immediately.
And if not, we learn our lesson. But yeah,
this is true. This is very, very true. And I just love the concept and idea of just a Planeswalker as commander. Would I ever actually play a Planeswalker as a commander? Probably not.
I don't think I would either.
But it's just fun to think that can be a thing. I think that's what's really cool about Commander, is there's so many different ideas for the commanders now that weren't even a thing when we first started playing. And
They were definitely not.
No,
which is so cool.
Like, what are partner commanders? What, you can have 2? Oh man. So moving into kind of like just our thought process, our philosophy of Commander, just, you know, what just gets you going with Commander, man?
I think the biggest thing for me about Commander is to find either a store you like playing at or a group of people that you can play with. Hopefully they're your friends, and that makes it even better.
It does.
But if not, at least a consistent group of people to play with. And the reason I say that is because I think that Magic is the most fun when you have fun.
Yeah.
Not when you win, when you have fun. Everyone loves to win.
Right.
But I think having fun is what keeps you coming back.
Yep.
I don't keep sitting down at the table to play Magic because I want to win, although some nights it is that case. It's because I want to enjoy my time with the people I spend it with. Sometimes that's going to a shop, sometimes that's with friends. But I think a consistent group of people, what most people refer to as a play group, either whether it's 4 or it's 8 that rotate in and out, allows you just a very casual, fun space to play Magic, and I think you really get to see what's fun about Commander in those and at those tables.
Yeah, I mean, I've played at a shop competitively 2 different games. I've played Magic the Gathering back when I first started in Standard and everything, and let me tell you, my experience with Magic the Gathering at first, it's probably just with Standard, maybe with a modern format. I don't think Commander would be like this, but I mean, honestly, like, it was pretty toxic. Like, to sit down at a table against an opponent, and for Pete's sake, I would beat them, and really beat them, try to say good game, and they go, oh, you didn't win, I let you, or I lost, or whatever, I didn't lose, I let you win, kind of thing, because I conceded or something. And I'm just like, dude, my deck did better than yours for 1 game out of 3. Just say good game, and let's reshuffle and get it going again. Like, it was like that for a lot of the tournaments I went to and stuff like that in Standard. And then I played in another game called X-Wing Miniatures, and it was just really, really hard for me to go to a shop to play because of my experience with Magic at another shop to play competitively. But man, my experience with the different game was just that. It was completely different. It was completely welcoming. It was just a lot of fun to learn off of what everybody was doing and everything like that. And we played pretty competitively. Like, we all wanted to be the best at that shop, but we all became really, really close as friends at that shop. And I was only there for, like, I mean, it was right before COVID hit, which is unfortunate. I wish I could have been there a little bit longer, but I mean, I was only there for like 4 months maybe, and it felt like I was there for a while. But coming into Commander, yeah, you really want to try to find kind of that similar feel where you can just feel like you've been there for a while. Like, I feel like we've been playing for longer than 6 months. And yes, we're a friend group that plays at like a kitchen table kind of thing where you're usually bringing something random out of nowhere, and I'm trying my best to do the same thing. Or maybe I'm like, no, I have to really test this out. Let me do this. And then we have like maybe 2 other guys who just started, because we have more and more people that just continue to come out of the woodworks. And I say that because it's people you either wouldn't think would play or have played in the past, and they're like, I can rekindle that fire. It's okay if I'm playing with friends, and I think that's what's so good. For the listener, man, I would say go to a shop first, but honestly, see if you can find if you have a couple of friends, see if they just want to sit down and just play some crazy card slinging spell game.
And if you don't have friends, I think as much as social media has its goods and its bads, I know that the DFW area has a really huge group of people kind of recommending shops to play at, or people trying to get games together, even through a Facebook group. I know that there are Reddit communities for that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a lot out there. Don't necessarily always just look at one avenue and then say, well, there's nobody to play with. Now, of course, that's contingent on where you live, right?
Yeah.
We live in a fairly large city, as Dallas is. Where I'm from, I could not have that same experience. I think one of the cool parts about playing Commander than playing a more, I don't want to say competitive, because I think Commander still can be competitive.
Oh yeah, for sure. Don't get me wrong on that. Yeah.
Is that if you watch or consume a lot of Commander content, you'll hear people talk about what's called a rules zero conversation. The concept of that is that before we start a game, we talk about what we want. What do you want from the game? What are you going to play? Mm-hmm. And what I think is cool about going to a shop is if you take more than one deck, when you sit down at that table and the first person says, hey, I'm playing this Commander. The next person says, I'm playing this Commander. For a more experienced player, you know exactly what that game's going to look like, and you can kind of pick your deck to fit that experience, right? But for a newer player, my advice is say what you're playing. Say you're new. Say you're new to the format and you're not really sure how to play. And I think most good players are going to say, all right, I'll use this random deck I'll just put together. I'll kind of drop my power level down a little bit, and we can have a good game so that you can see the game and don't feel aggravated because guys are just going infinite off in the corner and you don't feel like you can have that experience. Now, there are tables where that's okay. When all four people want that experience, those are some fun games. And heck, we have those games all the time where we're all going after each other, and it's a great game. But when we have new guys join the table, we don't have that experience. We pull out some more decks that we're still testing that we may not know all the combos in, and that we're not finding those perfect hands and that kind of thing. And we allow the game to just develop more naturally, allow them to kind of see what a game looks like without kind of always having that finger on the nuke button, needing to set the whole game off like some of us like to do. So my advice is if you're worried about if you don't have a play group, if you're going to a shop, be honest, be vocal, and hopefully you'll find people that want to play Commander with you.
Yeah, never be afraid to get out there. And this kind of leads me to the next thing. Never be afraid to build what you want to build. Because like we have done this and you've taught me this, and I wish I would have known this way back when. I feel like I would have kept playing if I would have known this way back when. We do a lot of proxying. I mean, I'm looking over at a trash bin right now, and there's probably like, I don't know, an entire deck full of just proxies thrown into this trash.
Please don't disclose what's in my trash can. No.
Okay, listen. It's just that we're not going to talk about anything else. But seriously, like, don't be afraid to just build what you want to. And we talked about this a lot. Like, when you bring a deck that has, give me an expensive card.
Demonic Tutor.
Okay, if you nobody wants to just go drop, what is it, like $30, $35, $40?
Depending on what printing, I'd say anywhere from 30 to 60 or 80, depending on the printing.
So not just your average or new Commander player, or Magic player rather, wants to just go drop that. I mean, if you do and you have the money for that, hey, by all means.
Please do, it's a great card.
Please do, it's a great card. Yes, but nobody just wants to go do that. Now, if your play group that you're with, like ours is, okay with, a proxy being on the field, cool. If you go to a store with that, of course, we've talked about this in the past. There's probably some repercussions, maybe some rules that they have about it and stuff like that, where it's like, that's not going to fly around here. Like, we don't really like if you're playing that.
I think you always ask, right?
Exactly.
It goes back to that rules zero conversation. Now, I'm sure there are going to be a listener who's listening to us right now who does not know what the word proxy means.
Yes, please, go into it.
I'm sure there are some listeners out here who are like, yeah, we know what a proxy is. You don't got a grandstand about this. But the reason that I love proxying cards is it allows you to play the game how you want to play it and to try things without worrying about spending $300 on a deck that you may not actually want to play.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's no fun, right? You don't want to drop all this money and then realize you don't like the deck, and you may not be able to get your whole money back through a buy list or something like that. So there are plenty of sites you can use to proxy cards. I would love to talk to anyone individually about how to do it. If they really ever had any questions about how to actually proxy cards, there are plenty of avenues to do that. There's not just one. There's huge many out there. But what I do is I put that list together, that deck list that I want to try. I proxy those cards out. I put them in sleeves, and I try that deck. No cost to me other than the paper to print that out on, and the random commons or draft chaff that I put behind them to put in the sleeves. And I get to have some fun. And you know what? If I get through 5 or 6 games and I'm just like, man, this deck is not what I thought it was going to be, it doesn't run like I thought it was going to be, that I don't think that I can change and test and be better at, or maybe I just don't really like the strategy, the paper gets recycled, I move on, I try a new deck. And I think it's a great way to feel like you can put your investment in the right place. You know, not everyone has the ability to have disposable income to buy pieces of cardboard like we all like to do. And I understand that. Believe me, I have never been someone who's had money or had lots of money. So the reason I like to proxy is so that when I go to drop $200 on a commander deck or $300 or $400 on a commander deck, I know I like the deck before I put the money into it. Now, I say that to say that if you're the kind of person who wants to buy everything, please feel free. I am not out here to tell you how you should or shouldn't play Magic the Gathering, how you should or shouldn't collect cards, or how you should or shouldn't play Commander. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is just simply give you a way to lessen the cost up front, really make sure you enjoy what you enjoy, and then do that later. Now, not every shop is going to allow you to walk in with the proxies of cards, either a whole deck or even a few. So ask that question, ask your local shop owner, and you know what? Maybe you have a deck of proxies, but they won't allow you to play. Maybe ask people and say, hey, are you okay if we play this game? I have the proxies. Is it okay if we play? I'm just testing this deck. And you know what? People are going to be cool with that. But if you're going to play more competitive Commander, people may not be okay with that. So I think, it just all comes down to asking the questions. Hey, are you okay with me playing with these proxies? And some people are going to be like, yeah, man, that's totally cool. Let's do it. Some people are going to be like, no, why would you use those? You're going to find your where out there for different people. But I think most people in the Commander sphere are going to say, hey, that's cool. Yeah, let's play. Let's have some fun. Because we all want to play Commander at the end of the day.
Exactly. I think the biggest thing behind making proxies, at least with our play group, is testing. We use them as a big testing module, and I think it really you may even know, it's funny, you said, if you don't want to spend the $300 on a deck and then you just suck and you don't know that, you're out $300. Well, unless you turn around and sell it, and maybe you're out, I don't know,
whatever percentage.
Yeah, I don't even want to try to figure that one out. But maybe you'll even find out through testing. I've done this a couple times where I'll pull out this big deck and it'll be $400, and then I'll go through testing and I'll start whittling out some of the stuff I don't like using, or some things that just don't fit right, or something like that. And then I'll finally get the 99 that I'm kind of happy with. I say kind of because, let's be honest, sometimes you'll get a hand and you're like, why did I make this deck? But when I've whittled out the 99 that I like and everything that I'm just pretty content with, sometimes it's not even $400. Sometimes it's less than that. So
sometimes it's more.
It's true.
The roulette of deck building.
It's true, very true. But that is true. I love that you said it always comes down to asking the questions. And if you're going to a shop and that's the only way you can play, then man, oh man, sometimes you just gotta buy that one extra bit of product so you can play that one extra proxy card. I don't know, something like that. Which is always, this is something good to always buy an extra product to, help you out a little bit. Something like a sleeve, maybe,
or a deck box,
or a deck box, something like that. I know for me personally, I love the Ultra Pro Pro Eclipse sleeves. I just like the way they feel in my hands personally. I like how they shuffle. I know that I've had Ultra Pro in the past, and I have Ultra Pros in my deck box currently that are 6 years old, still together. Man, oh man, do they look beat up, but that's beside the point. But
that's how you know they're good sleeves.
I suppose so, yeah. Hey, my cards haven't been destroyed, so that's a good thing, right?
It is a very good thing.
If you're spending $60 on a demonic tutor,
yeah, exactly,
you're gonna want a nice sleeve.
Exactly.
I know you were saying that you like Dragon Shields, right?
Yeah, I am the kind of person who loves to test new sleeves, especially in the decks that I play a lot, because I think that's my philosophy's always been, if I throw a new set of sleeves on a deck I may not play all the time, man, how am I supposed to really get an idea of what these sleeves are like? So Dragon Shield's been the brand that I've spent the most time with. They're rigid. I like that. They hold together well. They shuffle well. Now, they shuffle well for me. They may not shuffle well for you, and if that's the case, I apologize. Find the sleeves that you like. But for me, they shuffle well. I have sets of sleeves that have held more decks than the deck boxes that I currently own. I have had sets of Dragon Shields that I've had bad experiences with, but more than likely, it's great. I'm really in love with their no dual mat sleeves. I really like the extra thickness, and they really are cool. I actually just invested in a couple more sets, and I'm really excited to try those on some of my more main decks. But find the sleeves that you like. Yes, you might have to throw $30 or $40 into some sleeves to find what you like, but hey, still better than shuffling those cards without sleeves.
Oh my gosh, I just can't. I can't. Oh, I still go back to when we went to the Forgotten Realms pre-release at that one shop, and that girl sitting next to you, you were like, "Oh, shuffling without the sleeves, huh?" And then she goes, "Yeah, if I like them, maybe I'll put them in a deck." And I was just like, "I'm sorry, huh?"
Now, thankfully she didn't have a Meat Hook Massacre or any of these high dollar mythics that are worth the whole cost of a pre-release kit. But still, I mean, maybe it's just the elitism of players who have played for so long that we're like, man, it has to be in a sleeve or you're not playing. But it's just protect your investment. There's plenty of cards that I've bought and then 3 months later I've sold back because they didn't work, but I got my money back because I kept good care of those cards.
So I mean, I've said this before, and I'll let the listener know, like right off the rip, I love when a card has a dent, ding, a little bit of a tear maybe. If I can still read the whole text on the card and it's all beat all the pieces, I'm okay with it. I mean, it's got a story behind it, and I would love to know that story and everything like that. I don't know why that's a weird thing, but it's a thing, and I like it. But the thing is like the back end of it is all kind of bent, and I can see the nice white lined crease in it. I know I know that is that card because of that crease. But if I put it into a sleeve, I'm not going to know that, and my opponent's not going to know that, and so on and so on. So yeah, like sleeving your cards, a lot better not sleeving your cards, because there's still money going into it at the end of the day. And since there's money going into it at the end of the day, you have brought this new concept to the group, and I am definitely adopting it. Like as soon as I staple some decks into it, and I say the word staple as an actual pun to the actual jab to the actual thing that I'm leading up to, of an actual staple binder. Like you talked about this, I think it was probably like a month ago now, and we've had good conversation about it, and you put one together a little bit. I think it's actually more or less kind of completed, right? Like,
for the moment.
For the moment, yeah. For cards that just, I think you say, you can of course go into depth of this, a lot of cards that go into a lot of decks that you're like, Demonic Tutor's $60. I don't really feel like getting 6 Demonic Tutors.
The idea, I'll be 100% transparent. The idea came from a gentleman on YouTube, Vex MTG. He's a guy that does a lot of deck techs, and he's one of those channels that I watch. But he did a video where he had a staple box. He talked about it from the standpoint of doing all these deck tech videos. He's like, why would I buy multiple copies of this card when I'm doing all these deck techs? I can just throw it in this box, and then when I need them, I can pick them out. And I'm watching this video, and I'm going, how many copies of let's pick a random staple green card, since that's my bread and butter. How many Great Henges do I own? The answer was 4. How many Castle Garenbrigs, or how many Kodama's Reaches? Oh, that's a bad example because it's a cheap card. But if you have the fancy border or whatever it is, how many of those are you buying? And how many different decks do I have that in that I'm paying for it again and again? And I really took a look at my main 6 decks that I have, or 5 or 6, whatever it was at that time. And I was like, man, I can go buy list all these extra copies of these cards that I have. And I built 2 new decks from that money. And I was like, these are staples. And I use the word staple to mean cards that you're going to probably run in any commander deck that includes that color. I'm talking Farseek or a 3 Visits or a Nature's Lore in green. Cyclonic Rift, Rhystic Study in blue. Demonic Tutor, maybe Urborg or Cabal Coffers in black. I could go through all 5 colors, but we don't need to.
We don't need to. We know.
You understand my point. But not only just that, but what are the $5 or $10 cards that I'm putting in every one of my decks that maybe aren't strategy dependent? So let me give you a perfect example. I run 2 or 3 green decks that all use Questing Beast. I don't need 3 copies of Questing Beast. I love Questing Beast as a
we all
card,
love Questing Beast.
but I don't need 3 copies of it.
What is it that you say? It's a 4/4 for 4 with Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste,
In 3 other lines of text.
and 3 other lines of text.
Yeah. So the Staple Binder was my idea of trying to eliminate extra costs in my collection. Most of the time when I play now, mostly due to the beautiful experience we all just went through as a society, has been at my kitchen table or at someone else's kitchen table where we don't care about proxies. But when I go to a shop, I can take those cards out of that binder, I can put them into the sleeves in my decks, and I go have a full deck that's ready to play. But right now, if you were to take a deck off my shelf and look in it, I have proxies in those decks that say Staple on them. I know that it's in the binder, and if I were to take that shop, I would go quick, or I would just bring my binder with me. Say, hey guys, sorry I didn't have time to take this out. It's in the binder. I can show you exactly where it is, and if people really, want to have that experience. But I got the privilege not only to build new decks, but maybe get prettier, more expensive versions of the staples that I play a lot by trading multiple copies of them. I got to go get an Extended Art Great Henge to have in my binder because I love the cards so much. I got to start my lands collection of fetches and that kind of stuff that I may not have had. I had 3 or 4 Wooded Foothills. I only needed 1. I got to go buy another one or another 2 fetch lands. So I recommend this to you if you're the kind of person who's building a lot of decks that overlap cards. Now, if you're a new Commander player and you've just built your first deck, Staple Binder is probably not for you right now. But I would say when you go to start building your second or third deck, put that idea in the back of your mind. Look at those cards that you're putting into your decks all the time or that you're seeing all the time and saying, hey, what if there's a card that you're like, man, if I bought that card, I'd put it in these other decks too. That's a perfect example. The perfect example, I know we've already dogged on it, but it's Demonic Tutor, right? Some of those tutors are expensive cards.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't play Demonic Tutor because I was like, $60, that's a big price to entry. I don't know if I want it. But then I was like, man, but if I buy it once, I can play in these 3 or 4 decks. That's worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So my advice is consider it. If you want more information, I would love to talk more about it. As more of the physical implementation of what I did for it or how I use it. But it's definitely something just like the proxies for testing that I will plant my flag in and I will fight for.
I mean, because at the end of the day, there is there is definitely over 200 different commanders you can have as your commander.
Oh, I'm sure there's way more than that.
I said over. I said over.
Maybe in a power of magnitude, but yeah.
Okay, listen, stop. So, I feel like you're going to find that color, green for you, red for me, that is going to more or less be the forefront of your gameplay. Just who you are as a brewer, as a player, just as maybe even a person. I don't know. Sometimes you are a little green stompy aggressiveness, big dumb.
It is what it
is. No, but it definitely comes down to if you have, like we've said this before, if you have the resources to spend, then yeah, definitely do that. Like, put more money back into the hobby that we know and love so we can continue to get more of the hobby that we know and love. But if you don't, like, we are just casual guys who like to play Magic. And if we can put a couple dollars into our hobby, great. If we can't, we know our limit, we proxy it out, we have a great time nonetheless.
And I've even printed proxies for you guys. I've
Exactly.
said don't let that be the barrier to stop you from playing. Borrow my decks. I'll print the proxies for you. I'll show you how to do it because I want you to have fun. And if you having fun means I have to give a little bit of my time and my resources, I'm content with that.
And that's the biggest thing that I feel like both of us could say to anybody listening to this for, the 5 minutes that they listen to just this section, or from 5 years from now, somebody actually still somehow finds this wonderful thing.
Provided the robots haven't taken over, but sure. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Man, just have fun. Always, always, always try to have fun when you're playing Commander. Because if you're not, why are you in it? Like, are you in it just to win, and when you don't win, you're just super soy boy, sad boy, and you just want to quit and throw your hands up in the air and flip tables? Like, if that's the case, then why are you not trying to have fun? Like, not to rip on one of our guys, but one of our guys, I feel like they would have more fun if they could build out the decks they have in their head, but then they go, that card's no, because they see the price on it, which is great that we can see the price, because I think it does go into a factor later on down the line. Like, who knows? What if someone just gifts you that card? Then you don't have to pay for it, for one. For two, please play the card. Like, it's not that hard. And I feel like when you play the card that you like, that's when you're having fun. Like, you can have your pet cards and have fun. You can have your jank, your lovable jank, have fun. And I feel like you can also have your hyper competitive, super aggressive Urza Artificer beautiful blue deck and just have fun with it. Now, granted, if you're Millsy and you're at the other end of that table and you're going, you're playing Urza, you ain't having fun. But that's beside the point.
It is beside the point. Please do not take the opinion of one guy as one half of a podcast that you should not play any one commander. Just because I don't like that commander doesn't mean that you shouldn't play that commander. I might razz you a little for it, but I would rather you have fun than worry about what I think in the back of my head while I'm playing a game.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, every time you pull out Sithis, let's take that for example. Like, I love what the commander does. I hate when you play it, because everyone, and it's really funny that everyone at the table seems to look at it and go, 1, 2, draw a card when you play an enchantment, and you gain 1 life when you play an enchantment. Cool. And then they just kind of,
oh, look, an artifact. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, let's go kill that instead.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, like, listen, threat assessment is a thing, and that thing can easily go off. Like, I know not everybody knows, like, every single enchantment in the game or anything like that, but I do have an idea of, like, I can't name them, but I know there's probably, like, hundreds of 1-drop and 2-drop enchantments that are pretty decent. Still an enchantment. You're drawing a card, which, I'm sorry, we're playing a card game, right? Drawing a card in a card game is pretty good, right?
Especially when you have 99 of them
exactly.
that you want to see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And gaining life is great.
Gaining life is a fantastic thing.
But so I'll, every time you pull it out, though, I'll rip you a new one, because I'm like, oh my gosh, here's Sithis. Oh boy, here we go. 100 life, like, instantly. Not really, but sometimes. I mean, I remember one of the first times you played it, I think it was also one of the first times I'm playing Torbaran, and I'm literally hitting you almost every turn for 10 damage, and you're just gaining 12 to 13 on the next turn. And I'm just like, guys, I know I'm keeping him down, but you guys don't understand. I'm putting everything I can into one person. And it was just hilarious, because, it's something like that. It's a commander that a lot of people probably won't think about, that we will just go, you know what, you're having fun, sure, whatever, play it. Like, I don't care. Like, I can't think of another, like, really good example. Oh, like, everybody with your Goreclaw deck. Like, that is probably your favorite deck.
Oh, more than favorite.
Okay.
It's my Magic the Gathering wife. I love that deck. It has everything I love about green and more. So it's tough not to love the deck.
But we can definitely say that for the first few months of us playing, when you would pull it out, everybody'd be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, everybody, like, rolled their eyes.
Red alert! Like,
yes,
it's game time.
It's game time. Millsy is the, like, target enemy number 1, and it was hilarious seeing everybody, like, target you and then still just get pummeled. It is what it is. But we still had fun, and that's all that mattered.
Exactly. I mean, I think we always have fun. Might be the nights we get a little irritated and maybe you wish someone did something different. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, we both still actively play this game because we enjoy it.
Yep.
Win or lose, good night, bad night, deck didn't work, deck worked great, doesn't matter. We play because we enjoy the game.
And to the listener, let me tell you how much I personally have started to like this game. So when I left this game, I would rag on it for years and years. I say that like it was like 10, 15 years, but like...
It felt like 10 or 15 years.
It did feel like, yeah. But I would rag on it and say that it was a garbage game, like it's just a normal card game that, like, you can pick up any other card game and have a lot of fun with. This is just go play something else. You don't have to play Magic. Like, for Pete's sake, go play Pokemon, and I feel like you'd have more fun than playing Magic. Now that I've played Pokemon, that's okay.
I don't agree, but sure.
I was about to say I've played Pokemon. That's completely false.
That's probably the reason why we don't have a Pokemon podcast.
This is true. This is why we're playing. This is why we're talking about Commander of Magic the Gathering, not that. But, anyways, and now coming back to Magic and whatnot, I think one, it goes back to a point we talked about earlier, just finding a good play group. I think that definitely helps, and that has helped me. But it also has helped to kind of have the games that I've had, look at them at the end of the night and go, what did I learn? What haven't I learned? What can I do differently? What can I not do differently? Was my deck good enough for me to continue playing it? Was it not? Do I need to edit it? So on and so on. And all these different questions arise from it. But at the end of the day, I'm still having fun with it. And I think that is just, in of itself, good enough for me to call it a great hobby. And I think it's also pretty good enough that I just continue playing. And I love that, this whole idea of the podcast has started from you and I just like riffing one night, and then I was like, oh yes, we're gonna put it on the podcast, and you were like, yeah, let's put it on the podcast, and I was like, let's start a podcast, and we just kind of had that like, we're gonna start a podcast moment. And it's been great to just get excited about it, and to get excited about brewing decks, and just to see where we can go with talking to each other and maybe talking to other people about this fun game, because it can be a lot of fun. Because, we build decks, we play the decks.
Too many decks sometimes.
Too many decks. Way too many decks. I've literally already cut 3 out of my life, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't like you anymore. But it happens, and it's only been 6 months. I love the joke that we will have a 6-month relationship with that dragon.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great. Every new deck is a experience, whether it's good, bad, ugly, grand, mysticizing, whatever it may be. You get to have a good experience, or you get to throw it in your trash can because you didn't enjoy it. And that is the beauty of brewing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, which, it's it's just I'm sorry. It's just too much fun to brew, and I think it's too much fun to brew, see a deck just completely fail, and just go, okay, sure. I tried, I guess.
But don't, if you're the new player out there who just built your first deck and you hate it, you don't like it, you can't get it to work, do some research.
Yeah.
But if you get to that point where you don't enjoy playing the deck, and it's not a matter of you not finding the right card, you really just don't like the deck, it's okay. It's okay to try a new deck. Yep. It's okay to try a new color combination. If you like the color combination and you didn't like the commander, try a different commander. Mm-hmm. You might even be able to use half the list you have already for the new commander.
Yep.
Don't let one deck disrupt your experience with Magic the Gathering. Because I think I had that experience very early on where I built a Mardu deck that I just didn't enjoy. And if I had let that deck be the last thing I ever did in Magic the Gathering, man, I wouldn't have had all the great experiences that I've had since then.
I agree. Yeah, go for it.
Don't. It's okay to get discouraged because sometimes you're trying something new and you don't know. But find that knowledge, try, give it the good, honest try, and I think you'll find something you like. And if you don't, ask the people you know. Go on. As much as I dislike Reddit sometimes, Reddit can be great for a lot of things. People posting deck lists, posting deck ideas. We have this beautiful resource called EDHREC.com that is an absolute monstrosity of information.
I am probably on there every single day.
I will not comment on that. But anyway, I will not comment on how often I'm on EDHREC.com. But do your research. Try your deck. And if you don't like it, please don't just give up. Try something new. And then, if you repeat that process a few times and you really don't like it, then maybe it's time to have a conversation. But I would go ahead and say the reason that you're not enjoying Commander is probably not because it's the game. It's probably because you're not playing the right Commander.
I can definitely attest to this as an example. Like, I bought the Obun Precon deck, and I like it. I really do. It's so wonky. Playing lands and then getting lands to become creatures, these weird giant creature things, and just swinging a land at somebody is fun. It's green, it's white, and it's red. And it's got, some of my favorite colors in there. Just saying.
The good colors. No, I'm just kidding.
sorry, blue black players. No, I'm just kidding. But from that, I remembered how much I liked playing red green, and it's weird because it was a landfall deck, not much of a like burn big dumb creature swing out aggression, but I remembered how much I did like playing red green from the Obun deck, and I realized that the Obun deck was not that great.
For you.
For me, yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
The caveat is for you.
That's
please.
perfect. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that you can say right there. For me, yes. I like the idea of a landfall deck. Like, everyone talks about, or not everyone, but I think we joke about a lot of like one commander, 99 lands. Like, that'd be hilarious. That'd be a hilarious deck. I don't know.
Please don't make that deck. Please, just save yourself the time.
Listen, it will probably happen onto one of our tables eventually. It may or may not happen because of me, but that's beside the point.
Unless you're the person who goes through and takes time to pick 99 different arts for those lands, then I will play the one game against that deck. But if not, please don't build it.
And it's going to be me because I make custom lands. But, that was just one deck out of many. So, Millsy, what are the kind of what are the kind of the decks that you enjoy?
Yes, Magic the Gathering decks. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
I am an aggro player at heart, and so much of me wishes that I wasn't an aggro player because I think aggro players get a bad rap. We deserve it, but we get a bad rap. I love it. Now, Commander is a tough format to play true aggro in. I think most aggro decks in Commander play a little mid-range because they have to. You don't have the speed that you can always get elsewhere. So I would say aggressive / mid-range, green or green adjacent decks are where I like to play. That doesn't mean that I've tried my hand at a few combo or control decks. They just don't get me as excited to play that deck or pilot that deck or make it better as I do for those aggressive mid-range decks.
Man, I have no idea what kind of player I am. I would love it if you could tell me what kind of player you think I am, because
yeah, I mean, you definitely play well as a mid-range player. I love seeing you play your Xenagos deck and play very mid-rangey. But I think you are much more of a combo player than I am. You are much more of that control, politic type player than I am. My problem is I just like to attack, and it's more fun to attack than it is to not attack. So it's hard for me to play control. Even in the blue decks that I have, they're a lot more creature focused than they are spell focused, and that's just what I enjoy.
I'm sorry, you don't build a green-blue Simic Emoti
value deck. Oh, 100%. But you notice that it's mostly creatures.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I love seeing you play your Torbrand just red burn. That's something I'd never enjoy. Would I play it? Sure. Would I probably do well with it? Sure. But it wouldn't be a deck that I'd enjoy. And but that's the beauty of Commander, is that we all have our different decks we enjoy. I mean, I think you take a look at the decks that I have built, the main decks, the decks that I have in my main deck list. You have Goreclaw, Green Stompy. Stompy generally refers to strategy where you're just playing creatures and attacking, and I love it. Win or lose, I enjoy slapping giant green creatures under the table and then turning them sideways, unless they have vigilance.
I was going to say, and 99% of the time they have trample, so there's that too.
Deck number 2 is Omnath Temur Elementals, so blue, green, and red. And the blue in that deck is really more for support. There really aren't too many really big green creature or blue creatures that
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Millsy just lost his mic. Oh no.
There really aren't that many green creatures or blue creatures in the deck. Of course, besides the good elementals that are blue, Royal Elemental and the big stuff everybody loves. But I love that deck because it's really rural with blue, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that, and that's how it's built. It's primarily in green with blue and red.
Who doesn't like Temur? Let's be honest.
And then number 3 these days, as much as it doesn't get to see the light of day because it is a radically aggressive deck, and that is Winota, a deck that I really love. Winota was the first Boros commander that I looked at and said, I actually like that. Like, I actually want to play that deck. Don't get me wrong, I've tried Boros Angels lists and things like that, and sure, they're fun, but they're not what I want out of Boros. Winota is a deck that probably is too strong for a play group, and I think we've realized that over time. Not because I'm too good of a player, or because the deck's too strong. It's because the people we're playing with aren't prepared for it. They're not good at threat assessment yet. They're not good at those things. And so for that reason, Winota really hasn't gotten the love that maybe Sithis or some of the other kind of B-tier decks that I have get. But I love the deck because it's everything that I want out of an aggressive deck. Turn 4, I'm doing damage to the board, and I'm risking winning if you're not prepared for that. Maybe turn 4, turn 5. This is not CDH, though. This is not burning mana crypts and stuff like that to get her out quicker. This is good old-fashioned one land a turn, red-white, and on turn 4, my goal is to start threatening the board, and if you don't have anything to prepare for it, you're
Good
probably
luck.
not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the Boros that I expect everybody to enjoy, but it's the Boros I enjoy. So I'd say that's probably top 3. Sithis is probably 4, but that's more of a green-white enchantments. And I love Enchantress. It's something that I really enjoy. It's a card type that I think most people don't play, except for Aristic Study or Phyrexian Arena or the random enchantments that are staples in EDH.
Smothering Tithe.
Yeah, I don't think people really play Enchantress, and that's the one thing that I enjoy about that deck. Other than the conversation we had earlier about our playgroup maybe not understanding how to threat assess certain enchantments or certain things in the deck.
It's true. To kind of like feed off of that while you take the time to hopefully fix your mic.
Hopefully.
Sithis is definitely a deck that can not necessarily control an entire game, but it definitely puts you in the right seat at the right time. That just helps you push to win easily. And Winota, on the other hand, man, that is a deck that can control an entire 4-player game. And it makes me angry because there's just one time I want like a good hand against that deck. I feel like every time I play that deck, I'm like, yep, here we go again. I have nothing to take Winota off the board once it hits the board.
I think I've always conceded that the reason that the decks, my main decks, the reason I do well with them is because I'm the right kind of player for those decks. I think a control player would do decent with a Winota, but wouldn't know the play lines to really make the deck good. I think that's every single commander deck. If you really think about it, you have to have the right strategy, you have to have the right mindset to play that deck and play it well. And it's okay if you don't like the aggressive decks. I don't expect you to be able to play them, but it's always fun to watch someone who loves a strategy play a deck in that strategy and just see them like a master violinist on a stage just beautifully play that deck. And you're like, man, I hate that commander, but I love watching you play that deck. You know what I mean?
That's how it is with it for sure. Like I hate the commander, but I love watching you play it. Sithis, I hate that commander, but I love watching you play it and everything that I love. The different little wombos you can make out of it. I remember I tried Winota one time, and I think I drew the opposite.
Got one of the worst hands I've ever seen.
I think I got the worst of what I actually needed. I think you need humans to no.
You want non-humans to get humans.
Yeah, and
there are sometimes, unfortunately, with that deck where you can get a lot of humans in your opening hand, and if you don't know that, you will sink yourself.
Yeah. You know, I took the Russian roulette kind of thing of like, hey, if I have a bunch of humans in my hand, that means there's going to be a lot of non-humans on the way, right? Nope. Yeah, it was fine. I guess
Shuffler. Gotta love the Shuffler.
Gotta love the Shuffler. For me, yeah. Since you say combo, yeah, I actually kind of see it with Torbrand for sure. Setting up is what I am getting better at, I feel like, as a player. Just putting down the right artifact first, the right creature first, then popping this bigger spell and enjoying what happens after that. For me, definitely is any kind of burn spell would go first for me, or burn deck rather, not burn spell. That would go first for me. Second would probably be any kind of creature-based deck. I'm starting to play around with green-white humans and just get a bunch of creatures onto the board and stuff like that. I don't really want to go, let's just put a bunch of tokens out there and have all of the tokens, because if I wanted to do that, I'll just go play goblins again, and that's fun. Don't get me wrong, it is. I think it's a lot of fun. It's just, again, not for me. I like to try to have like a different strategy and stuff like that to kind of feed off of that. I bought the Lenore Coven Counters precon deck, and the way I've kind of went to build it and edit it my way is instead of going wide and getting the Coven triggers and everything, you only really need 3 creatures to get the Coven trigger. Like, if you can get more, cool. But
build them tall and protect them, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I tried to do, is build them tall, protect them, and then just get a nice, good swing with that one creature. And of course, you're probably thinking, like, oh, you only got one creature. Like, I can block it. And it's like, yeah, but if it has trample, ouch.
There's a level of power in a creature deck where, sure, it may be blockable, but is it advantageously blockable? And that's where it becomes... Would any good creature aggro deck wins on is, are your blocks favorable for me, or are they favorable for you as the defender? And the more times that I can make you block favorable for me as the attacker, I will win eventually.
Yep. And excuse me. And I do enjoy a good mid-range setup. I do enjoy a good control deck. I keep on joking that I'm gonna make oops all counter spells, and I've built it, deleted it, built it, deleted it.
I'm waiting for it, guys. Just so you know, I'm waiting for it.
Built it,
I'll let
deleted
you know
it.
when he plays it.
Oh my gosh. If I ever actually do that, I think everybody would start hating me, but I don't know. Maybe not, because it doesn't actually, in theory, it seems like a lot of fun, and then like you actually kind of think about it, and you're like, I'm never going to be able to play 4 to 5 counter spells every round. Like, there's absolutely no way. If I can, holy cow.
You can. I've played them.
Okay, you shut your mouth.
And it's a tough game. It's a tough game.
But I do enjoy joking about just playing a full-on counterspell deck. I just think that'd be hilarious. But until that day comes, which hopefully will be in like the far distant future, when we have at least 10 more counterspells to put into the deck that are all mono blue,
Yeah.
of course. Man, and when that day comes, that'll be great. And hopefully when that day comes as well, we can kind of see something kind of cool pop out of this lovely little ear hole of a podcast, man.
Over at twitch.tv/ no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm just
That's
kidding.
what I mean. That's what I mean. I mean, like, what we're
Hopefully
kinda,
someday, but no, not at the
of
moment.
course, not at the moment. But just one day, see something kind of pop out of this that is just interesting or inspiring, or something that just wows somebody, I guess. Like one of our shows that we're doing, we'll be releasing every Saturday, I believe, correct? Head to head. It's an idea that you've come up with. You are so excited about it, and I love how excited you are about it. I'm excited as well, don't get me wrong, but you are like level 10 where I'm like level 2. Let's actually rephrase that. You're like level 100 where I'm like level 10 of excitement.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard me, if you've listened to us this whole time so far, you've heard me say multiple times, I love brewing, I love building decks, and I feel like I don't always get the real opportunity to build certain decks. If it's not going to go on my test bench and I'm not ever going to consider building it, I might play around with the deck list, but it's going to get deleted. It's just the truth, And my thought was, if we're going to have a platform to have people listen to us, sometimes talk about things that are important, sometimes just talk about nothing, why not use my fun of brewing to help other players? And so Head to Head was, of course, not named that when we first started the idea, but it has grown into an idea where Mikey and I here will take either the same commander or the same idea of a deck and put our deck lists head to head, brew them up, talk about them, compare them, and give y'all the opportunity to just have a deck list to test. Try it out in your play group or at your LGS and see if that's a deck list that you like, whose deck list you like better, and really give you the option, just maybe hopefully look at some commanders you haven't looked at before. Maybe you have that deck at home and you compare your deck to ours and see maybe there's some cards you'd want to add or some cards that you maybe don't like that we like. But my hope is that it allows us just to have fun with this format that we love, specifically us, that we have fun brewing decks,
Right.
Which I do enjoy, and maybe a few of those end up on that kitchen table in our play group. Maybe some of our lists, whether they're piloted by us or our friends, get to see the light of day that probably otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah, we've already talked about how like we're two different players. You're more of an aggressive player, where I'm more of a like to set up a little bit and then swing away. Granted, you have done that a couple of times, so it just blows my mind how that happens. But still, we can definitely say we're two different players. Like maybe not two completely different players, but we're two different players. We're gonna brew up something different most of the time. And I think that's what's so interesting about this idea is we're going to have two different decks for these listeners to listen to, these listeners to have, to look at, to study, to also listen to, and to kind of hear us just defend our case more or less of like why we think this idea is better for, and I'm not saying we will, but for an Atraxa deck than this idea. Like, why we think we would go in this route than that route. Maybe I build more. This is never going to happen. I'm very sorry. This won't. Maybe I build more Super Friends and you build more just +1/+1 counters for Atraxa or something like that. And we get to just show people the different ideas that maybe they've already come up with, but something maybe a little more, maybe something that they have thought about in the past, and they're like, oh, I can reconsider that. Like, I never thought about comboing that with this, or I never thought about playing that first and then doing that. It will always come down to us being two different guys that just enjoy playing Magic, enjoy talking about it, and enjoy brewing. And if people can kind of learn something from it,
awesome.
Heck yeah, awesome. If people hate it, also awesome. Because that's another thing. We would love to know a better idea for a deck that we come up with. Because some of the decks that we will be talking about, we probably are playing, or we're thinking about playing,
or we'll never.
Or I will never touch it ever in my life. I'm only doing it for the lulz.
And for the episode.
And for the episode, of course, because Millsy is making me. No, but
contractually,
100%.
No, I'm just kidding, no.
Signed in blood. No, I just really am excited and intrigued to see how people respond to it. Really, because if somebody kind of just gives us that, like, hey, why didn't you consider this? Awesome. Because you talked about it before, like, these are decks that, like, we just kind of have a first little bitty dip into. We're taking maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to just kind of brew and to go, you know what? Cool, this is a cool idea. We're not sitting down, proxying them, throwing in the sleeves and throwing them on a table, turning cards sideways and having a great time with them.
Not all these decks are going to have 12 or 15 games in at our playgroup where we've seen how these decks run, and we can give you the show notes, so to speak, on what it looks like. Some of these decks will to kind of sweeten the pot. A couple of these commanders that we're going to be talking about here in the first few episodes, we run these lists.
Yeah.
We have run these lists, and we have these in our test benches already. But some of them we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the fun. The other thing that I hope is that you don't just see the EDH rec page for these commanders in our lists. You see the fun pet cards, the sweet jank that we pull out into these decks. And you see the cards maybe you've never seen before. Now, I'm not saying that my deck lists are going to be 15% EDH rec, and you're not going to see anything. Unfortunately, EDH rec is a very good resource, and there's a reason those cards are on those pages, and there's a reason those cards are played in those decks. And I'm not out here to say I'm going to be the hipster who doesn't play any cards on an EDH rec page in my deck, because it's not the truth. My hope is that our decks are not average deck.edhrec.deck list, and that you don't just get every card that you've been told to already in the 4 other deck texts that you've seen for these decks. My hope is that you see cool, interesting decks that we've come up with, and I hope you like them, and I also hope that you hate them. I hope that they're deck lists that you look at and go, I would never run that in my life. Awesome. That's cool. That's what makes Commander. But my hope is that maybe there's that one episode that you listen to, and you're like, man, I love that deck. I want to try that. And in that case, take our deck lists, beat the tar out of them, change them however you want to, and enjoy that deck.
What I would love to see in the future is someone listen to one of our episodes, take one of our decks, seek us out,
and beat us with it.
Exactly. In person. That would be amazing. That would be 100% the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, the creme de la creme.
Now, we don't have the radio show money to fly you out here and let you beat us with one of these decks.
Yeah, sorry.
As much as we'd love to.
That's not happening anytime soon. Sorry, buddy. We'll get there when we get there. But man, like, head-to-head isn't the only thing that we're going to be doing, right?
Hopefully.
I mean, we got some ideas.
This is episode 1, Mikey. We got to remember that
this is the intro.
the ideas are boundless, hopefully.
I mean, this is Commander. I said there are over 200 commanders that you could use for a
They
deck.
were released the last year. There were plenty more of them at the
Okay.
Speed Fight.
Okay.
I'm sorry, listener out there. We have to have fun at the end of the day.
This is true. And, you know, since there are so many different Commander ideas, there are going to be so many ideas that we can talk about for Commander that are hopefully different than the average. I can't say the average. Than the other podcasts that you're already listening to or you aren't listening to.
Or you may find.
Or you may find, yes. That are hopefully just a lot of fun. Like, I want to give you, the listener, something that you can enjoy listening to. Something that you're going to, you know, if you're going to throw headphones on, then something you're going to put into your ears that is going to be enjoyable, maybe a little funny, but also something that you're willing to go, I listen to these guys because X, Y, and Z. And that X, Y, and Z is because I relate to this. I love when they talk about this. I hate when they talk about this, but it's interesting to listen to nonetheless.
And I hope also that you get to see our personality shine through, not only what we talk about here, actually on the air on this podcast, but in our decks. Hopefully you get to see the decks that we love, the decks that we enjoy, and that you get to see who we are as players, what we enjoy, and maybe, just maybe, we can bring our friends' decks on here and look at them too and see what our friends like to do, and maybe we can give you just a little window into our play group and for what we enjoy, but mostly why we love Commander. I think that's what I hope that you guys catch.
I think that is perfect to just kind of sum it up. We try to have as much fun as we possibly can, and we're going to tell you a little about it probably in every little episode that we do. We're going to tell you how much fun we're having with Commander.
I hope so.
I hope so. Well, guys, you can definitely look for us every Saturday. We'll be talking about some kind of lovable jank. No, I'm just kidding. Some kind of incredible deck. No, I'm just kidding. Some kind of weird brew that we just come up with for head-to-head. And you'll also be seeing us, well, you won't really be seeing us because we're just sounds in your ears. So you'll be hearing us throughout the week, whether it be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday with some other kind of idea.
Hopefully good idea.
Hopefully good idea. If it's not,
Let us know, please.
please let us know. If it's just bad, just let us know. It's okay. We can take it. We are easygoing adults that can take the comments. But be nice.
Behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors, yeah. But be nice.
We're working on Discord. We're working on social media.
Yes.
Hopefully that kind of stuff will be posted. Hopefully by the time you see this you hear this episode. If not, by the time Head to Head starts, I hope that we have some communities that you can join to come chat with us. Some ways that you can yell at us on social media, because who doesn't love that? I don't know. Maybe some other ways to interact with us. Whatever the internet overlords can provide us with.
Hey, we've already said it, or well, Millsy has already said this, you know, early on. The DFW group is huge, and you know, if you have to go to the DFW group, awesome. If you want to come to us, we are more than welcome to, you know, invite most, if not any person that would like to play. Correct?
If you're in the area, or that you can readily and availably get to us, unless you really want to buy a plane ticket to come see us, please do not do that.
Please do not do that.
We're not asking you to do that. But if you live in the DFW area and you need a play group, please come be a part of ours. We would love that. That is not what this podcast, that's not the point, but it would be a really cool thing if that was what somebody got out of this.
For sure. That is a perfect thing to say.
Just kidding. This whole podcast has been to get to be more people in our play group.
Oh yeah, 100%. We're building
This
it.
is actually a whole farce. We wasted the time to make the logo. We wasted the time to make all these accounts just for you to come play with us. And we got to be candid, Mikey. We got to tell the people the truth.
Yeah, this is true. We want more and more people to play. We want like 4 pods going at one time, so 4 different tables of 4 players, so 16 people all at once playing Commander all at the same time, 4 different games happening. That would be a lot. I'd get a little stressed out from that, actually.
I think it would be a lot.
It would be.
But that's not why we're doing
That's not
this.
why we're doing this. No, we're
We're doing
here.
this because we love this game, and we want you to love this game. Hopefully, a fraction of the amount that we love this game, if not more.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, guys, hopefully you had fun listening to the first ever Hometown Commander episode. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.